Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the vid. I'm here with Jonjo and Simon Jackman, who mixed and mastered our latest EP, Delicate. We're going to go on a sort of walkthrough of how he got the sound that he did for A Letter Unread, which is the latest single off the EP. Just see how we get on with it. How you doing, Simon?
Yeah, good, mate. You all right?
Good. Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, I mean, I'm doing a sort of like a hello, like we haven't spent the last 5 hours trying to get this working. But yeah.
Cool. Well, shall I
good.
do this? I'll do a screen share then. Here we go.
Yeah.
So, what shall I start with? Drums?
Yeah, sounds good.
So,
pretty important.
Jonjo, did you record? You recorded the drums as well, am I right?
No, so we did the drums at Shake and Oak Studios, which is fairly local to us, but our friend and sort of long-time engineer who we've known for ages, always doing sort of our projects and things, called Jamie McKivitt, did the drums and the vocals. So I did the guitars and Jamie did the drums.
All right, you were in charge of the guitars. Cool. Well, yeah. So kick drum. Here we go then. So the kick drum, I don't know what mic was used, but it actually sounds quite good. Let me take the plugins I used off.
Good. Happy about that.
So that's the dry kick. The first thing I did was just a gate on there. Pretty standard stuff. And then a little bit of EQ, putting a bit of top end on. You'll see this a lot, this Slate virtual channel thing. And that, I mean, to be honest, it doesn't do a great deal. But when you put it on loads of stuff, it just adds a little bit of sort of like analog warmth and stuff that everyone seems to want these days. So that's that. A little bit of EQ. Just shaping it a little bit, and this is really cool. This is what this like adds some sub at 60 hertz. I got it. This Waves R bass thing, which is really cool. Let me turn that on and off because you can really hear that. Hear how much more bottom end that adds. I think that's
actually, I thought I wouldn't over this, but I actually can. So
yeah, that's actually I think whoever for people listening, they'll be able to hear a big difference there. I mean, even we can hear a difference. It's sort of being chopped about a bit.
I love loads of sub in kick drums, which you'll see when I go ahead. But and then obviously there's just like an extra. There's probably something I was doing once I had everything else in. I obviously heard that there was a bit too much 200 in it, so that is that. And then there's a kick out mic, which again it's literally just sub. I don't know if I put a. Where's the EQ for that? Yeah, so that's cutting off literally everything. Ignore that. Yeah. That's doing absolutely nothing. But that's on. 70 hertz, and then just adding more of this sub again on 50 hertz, so that's really super low. This channel thing again, it's probably not doing a lot, but it just adds some extra sort of analog stuff. In the context of the mix, like, again, it's just way more sub. You can hear that. You can hear that, can't you? Yeah. So it's just like... And then we get on to samples, because in this day and age, everything's got to be really smacking in the face and really consistent. And you can actually just see this sample track is just like squared off as anything.
One dynamic.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, with this song, it didn't really need anything. I mean, I've got the kick going into a group, which just automating the kick a little bit louder later on in the song. But generally speaking, all the kick hits wanted to be smacking in the face. So I can't remember what sample this was, so don't ask me, but I mean it sounds pretty good. It was again probably this channel thing, and then I've got some low sort of sub boost again, even more sub, some general sort of shaping EQ, putting a little bit more tack on, taking out some sort of weirdness there, again more sub. And then there's a room sample as well, which I probably just smashed the hell out of it. Yeah, I have. Bit more brightness on the top. Smash the hell out of that. And together, it sounds like this. I mean, I'll show you with and without the samples. So that's with the samples, obviously. Let's go to a bit of a nicer part. So that's with the samples. And then without it...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just adds more weight. But I mean, I'm one of these people, I like to add to the original sound rather than complete. I mean, if you really need to completely replace something because the recording's bad, fair enough. But actually, the kick sounds quite good, so I didn't want to, completely replace the whole thing. And the room thing is just there because of this kind of song and this kind of genre, I just wanted everything's got to be really ambient and nice and lush. So that's why the kick room is. I wouldn't normally always do a kick room, but in the context of this, I thought it sounded really cool. So that's the kick drum.
Just as a quick question, is that something you've put? Have you done a lot of this stuff to the other tracks? I know we're not going to go too much into the other tracks that are on the EP today, but is that something similar? Like, have you put the room on the other tracks as well?
I can't remember which song I started with, but I normally start by doing something very similar. I mean, it depends on the song really, but then I might think actually the kick room doesn't really suit this song, or just needs to be a little bit like quieter in this song, or I could do a bit of automation in the verses or something, have a really big like roomy kick, and then in the choruses cut it down so it's a bit tighter and whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
cool.
it definitely depends song by song, like what you want to do. But generally speaking, just for consistency reasons and stuff, I kind of start with the same template and then maybe go from there.
Yeah.
Cool. So moving on to the snare. So I've got this snare trigger, and all this is just triggering the gate to open. So I've just got this set to an external source and just converted the hit points to MIDI.
Oh, cool. Sweet.
So so that just kind of accurately opens up the gate rather than, I absolutely hate gates, but if you're going to use them, I kind of want them to do exactly what I need it to, And I've actually, to be fair, I think I'm using I think the correct term is this is actually an expander, because I'm not getting rid of the whole signal in between hits. If you see, you can actually still hear. I mean, I'm ducking 15 dB rather than cutting the whole thing out.
Yeah, it's still very much there, isn't it?
So that just helps the gate sound a little bit more natural, and you don't get that kind of weird like cymbal thing.
Yeah, that's always a bit odd. That.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Just hear it like above a snare.
Yeah. So, and then after that, I've got one of my favourite plugins, just Saturn, just on the warm tape thing, just driving it a little bit. Again, this is more, this is like a Neve emulation or whatever it is. That's just putting a little bit more drive on it. Let's see what the compressor's not doing a great deal, about 4 dB or something. Brightness on the top, a little bit at 2.5, and a bit of bottom. So I find just trying to find the fundamental of the snare, and obviously on this it was about 250. Boosting that a little bit, 6 dB. And then this is just like this kind of, I've got a preset for it, but it's this kind of weird sort of smiley face thing that I do a lot on a snare drum, and it just always kind of works. I sometimes, move where these are, but let me put that in and out. In fact, let me take off the reverb so we can actually hear what this is doing. You can hear how much reverb it does.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So that's without it, and then with it, just kind of gets some more of like this kind of modern, scooped, I guess, snare drum sound. So that's cool. And then snare bottom. I mean, I won't go too much into snare bottom because I don't really like snare bottom. But I think I put it in there. I mean, it's at -14. Gating it again, just doing some of the similar stuff. Let's hear that on its own. I mean, who wants to hear that?
I mean, this is, I suppose like Jonjo's here to ask you intelligent questions, and I'm here to ask the dumbest questions imaginable.
Yeah.
By snare bottom, that's a microphone that's literally pointed at the beats on the bottom of the snare, isn't it?
That's it, yeah. Which just, I mean, it never sounds good, but... the thing is, I still record it every time I set up a drum kit. I always put one on.
I think everyone does, yeah.
It's just that habit.
No one uses it, yeah.
But then
it never sounds good.
No, it's funny how I mean, it's just my opinion, but it's like I can never really get it to sound that great, and I tend to like move the slider up until I think it sounds good, and I realise I can't hear it, but it's in there. It's there in case. The one thing I will say, actually, it's quite good for like rolls or whatever. It kind of you know. You're exaggerating the beats and stuff on the bottom.
Someone will be watching this and be like, "This guy's an idiot. It's all about the snare bottom."
Yeah, it's all about. It's just got a mix where it's up.
But there's no right or wrong way of doing it. But that's just for me personally. I don't bother too much with it. And then snare samples again. It was a little while ago I mixed this, wasn't it? how
I
long
think
ago
it
was
was
It was
pushing
first
on a
lockdown.
Yeah, pushing on a year now.
Yeah, nearly a year ago. So I
early,
don't know.
Early Feb.
Again, I can't remember what snare samples it was I used. For the same reason I'm using samples, it's like just want a big modern rock sound, you know. And it's samples is just kind of where you go for that. I'm probably not doing a bit of top end on the samples, a bit of compression, a bit of drive again, and then similar EQ again. Don't know which sample that is. Can't remember.
Sounds good.
And then there's another one, just doing something a little bit more down the bottom.
It's a low one.
Probably similar stuff. And it's something I do quite a lot is stacking up samples. As long as you like check the phase on them, you know, check that they're both going the right way, because if you've got two samples that are out of phase with each other, it just sounds horrible and it's not good. So as long as they like talk to each other nicely phase wise, it's all good. And then I got a snare room, which is just probably one of these samples, and the room soloed or something, which is nice.
Smack.
Yeah, it gives a big old smackaroonie. And then, let's play those together. I mean, it sounds absolutely ridiculous by itself. It's so over the top. It's almost like Def Leppard or something. But in the context, of the mix, you know, it works, doesn't it?
Exactly that. Yeah.
And then that's going to a snare group. What have I got on the snare group? Oh, I've got an envelope shaper. Okay. So that's obviously just adding a bit more tack once I've grouped them all together and just whacked a bit more tack on it, which is cool. Let me turn that on and off, actually. And with it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm putting a bit of length on it as well. Oh, no, I'm not. Don't know. Okay. Okay, and then there's this snare room trigger. What did I use that for? Oh, I think that's going to this. Oh, okay, so I'm doing the snare room trigger is on the room track. I'm doing the opposite. I'm doing an upward thing on the gate. So every time the snare hits, it makes the room track louder. So you get more of that room in there. Let me show you that on and off. So that's with it on, and then with it off. See that it just brings up the snare a bit more in the room, which is kind of cool. I've kind of skipped. Let me go back. Toms. Now with the toms, I seem to remember I just completely sample replaced them because I didn't think they sounded that great, to be honest. So I just went in and completely replaced them. So
interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, listen to how ridiculous they sound as well. And that's a room track on there as well, which is kind of doing a lot of the sound. If you notice, the close mics are just adding a bit more low end and stuff. Yeah. And I actually think I processed a lot of that together because I think the samples I used were kind of pre-processed ones, so they were kind of EQ'd already. So I just did a bit of this is just stop, just in case there's any well over the. I mean, it's not doing anything. Oh, it's off. Right, well, we can ignore that. That didn't do anything. A bit of bottom end boost, a bit of top end boost, a bit of compression, a little bit of drive. As I said, I just processed them all together. Taking out a bit more mids, a bit more bottom again. And then let's go to cymbals. Oh, fucking hell, what am I doing here? Bit of drive on there, bit of compression. I think I like to do this thing on overhead compression where I just kind of duck out a lot of the snare because I find it gets a little bit weird sounding on the when the snare comes through the overheads. So that's what that's doing. It's like ducking the snare, if you see, quite a lot. Adding some brightness, adding some 7K, just with these sort of random EQs I've picked just to kind of boost some things. And then I've gone and contradicted myself and taken all that out. but I've kind of just boosted everything and then gone, actually, maybe it's a bit too much, but, you know, it's in slightly different areas. So together it kind of works. And then just taken out a bunch of low end. And then we've kind of spoken about the room mics a bit with that gate. And then there's this channel thing, which is just a bit of distortion again. Smashing it with a compressor. and then just taking out some top end, taking out a bit of mid, and then they sound like this. So obviously in the context of the mix, without the room mics.
Oh yeah.
With them, just gives it a bit of, I got this, what am I doing? I got a room mono mic as well, which was recorded, and that's just got a bit of distortion on it, a bit more compression, doing something really weird, doing a bit of that,
Was that? Do you remember which one that was, Jonjo? Was that a microphone that was set up right in the corner?
It sounds
I
like
think
it was, just chucked
That
out.
was, if I remember correctly, it's the Shaken Oak Studios. It's got like the live room, and then it's got like a sort of mezzanine walkway thing, and they both go up to 2 bedrooms where like people can stay over and sleep. And I think the room mono mic was up in one of the bedrooms.
Yeah,
So
because
it's
I think I remember
quite far away.
I remember seeing that. I remember it being literally like. I remember chatting to Jamie about it, who incidentally was the person who recorded the drums, and you didn't name drop him earlier, Jonjo. So just to clear that one up. But he's
you said that right at the beginning.
I don't think. Yeah, I probably should have made. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, yeah. So he. So I think I remember seeing that microphone and asking. I think I asked him like, "What's this kind of for?" And he's like, "It's just for a bit of, bit of something extra." I think his intention was that it's not. It's never going to be even remotely high in there.
I do that stuff all the time, man. It's just like if you've got like a couple of spare channels or whatever, and you've got a couple of mics, just throw them in there. And they sound. I mean, I think it sounds cool. I do stuff like that all the time.
It adds something. It's not going to take anything away. And do you know what? If it doesn't sound good, it can just be removed
take it out
completely.
Yeah. And then all of that is going into my favourite plugin ever. This thing, which is.
Is this the whole drum?
So all the drums are going into this, which it's basically, I don't really understand what it does, but it's some sort of like distortion kind of thing. I mean, it's called a vintage warmer, so it's kind of warm sounding or whatever. But I mean, I'll take it in and out and see. That's without it. And with it.
Oh yeah, it shapes it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just all these little things that you can do on the way just kind of end up, making the sound. And then the reverb I've obviously chosen this, whatever this is, a slate one. And then I think I'm probably compressing it a bit as well, yeah. A bit. Quite a lot. So that's the reverb. And then I do have a parallel compression going on, which... Again, this is like a big one, really. Like I think all the kicks going into it, the snares going into it. I think the toms, the toms are going into it as well. Maybe the rooms. Let's have a look. No, the rooms are just going to reverb. But no, they are. Yeah. So this is quite a lot of the sound as well. I mean, let me play it without it. And then with it. You can hear that's quite a lot of the sound. So again, what all that is I'm doing a little bit of limiting on the way in just to catch any peaks, and then I've got it in this thing. Fast release, pretty fast attack, bit of drive on there. And I know a lot of people do parallel compression to get more like size and stuff out of it, but I tend to do it to get more attack. I kind of like to just feed loads of stuff to it to get it really punching.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do both, I think. You could just do one that's really like big and with a really fast attack, and then one that, that's for the punchiness. But I've just done it like that. I think it's cool. So yeah, that's all the drums together.
Sweet.
Again, it's really massive and over the top, but that's what the song calls for. That's what the song calls for. So.
I think when we got the sort of the original mixes back, that was one of the first things that everyone went to, was like really happy with the drum sounds.
Yeah. I think
that was one of the biggest things.
It's like I'm not being shy about using drum samples or pressures or anything like that. It's like we want it to sound big, we want it to sound polished and stuff. It's like I'll just do what it takes for it to get there. At the end of the day, it's not really. It doesn't matter what you did. It just matters what the end result is, doesn't it? Really. So
yeah,
all of this is pointless.
Yeah, I think the snare's quite quite a big one for me, and I didn't really, because I remember hearing this the first time we got this mix back. I remember hearing how much that snare cut through. So it's interesting to see how you've got that.
Yeah. Well, actually, I will show you some more stuff. In fact, we're going to go to that next. There's something else that I've done. I think I did it on this mix. Let's have a look. God, maybe I didn't. Hold on.
Hey.
No, I did. Where is it getting that from? Sorry, talking to myself.
It's cool. That's what they came here for, you know. Came for the content and stayed to watch you slowly decline into lunacy.
Oh man, it's a new version of Cubase. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's coming from the set of samples. So what I've done, is it that one? Yeah, here we go. All right, so all the guitars are feeding to a guitar group, and the snare sample is feeding to a compressor, like a sidechain thing, a compressor on the guitar. And what that does is basically ducking the guitars every time the snare hits, just to kind of cool. just really quick. I mean, look at all the settings. It's very, very quick. But if you look at this, that little thing there, it's just really quickly cutting into the guitars. And it just... a bit of room for it, yeah. Yeah, because the thing is, there's so much going on with the guitars, and there's a lot of layers, there's a lot of synths and stuff like that.
There's a lot of guitars.
And yeah, there is a lot of guitars. and stuff, and the drums tend to get swallowed up quite quickly. So little tricks like that can really just help keep the drums punching through. And I think I may have done something similar on the bass. Not bass. Yeah, I did. There you go. So the kick sample.
Sidechain.
Yeah, so just basically doing exactly the same thing on the bass guitar with the kick drum. Just helps create space in the mix and stuff like that.
Just as a quick aside, let's have a little break now. We're not really sure whether we're going to upload this as one big file or whether we're going to upload it in parts. Yeah. So if this is the end of part 1, come back to part 2.
Yeah.
If it's not, completely ignore everything I'm saying and just sit there, and it will just seamlessly go into the next one. We're not sure. We'll figure it out. But yeah, stick around and we'll move on to those next.